Right. Hello and welcome to this Smart Talk session made possible by National PTA in Norton. During this 45-minute session, families will learn how to make the best online choices for yourself and your families, have honest conversations about technology use, set technology rules everyone can agree on. This will be both an educated and interactive session. We want to give lots of opportunities to talk and learn from one another. If you don't have the Smart Talk family worksheet, you can use a plain sheet of paper and writing utensil. Before we dive into this session, let's do a technology check to see what's going on with your families. And so for all of us who are participating today, adults, all of us, raise your hand if you know what your kids are doing online.
Which I can't see any of you right now, but
That's okay. That's okay. And of course, you can put down your hands. And of course, if we have any children with us, you can raise your hands. If you know what your parents or caregivers are doing online. All right. If you feel like your kids have healthy media habits, please raise your hand, adults. All right, and you can put down your hands. And for the family, we're going to go ahead and talk about some online safety and work together to set some healthy technology habits. Thanks, Laura. Micah, is it Micah or Mika? I don't want to say it incorrectly.
It's Micah.
Micah, okay, this is you.
Talk it out. Parents, caregivers, you will be better informed and more comfortable with your kids' digital life. For the kids and the teens, you will be better prepared to create a healthy and safe digital life. And for the whole family, you will be in this together. Do I continue?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I didn't know how.
And so just to let you know, I know it's a little different because the number of people and probably the people that you see. So we're just going to have to refer to the bottom of your slide that you see from the email and just kind of go with the flow as we have people here. I know we have at least a couple of team members and family members here.
All right. You'll just tell me when to stop. How about that? Because the email's not in front of me since I'm on my phone.
Sure.
Family activity 1, the impact of technology. Number 1, how does technology help your lives? Number 2, how does technology make things harder? Number 3, what are some ways your family is more connected because of technology? Number 4, what are some ways your family is less connected because of this technology? And number 5, how can your family stay connected while keeping technology in your lives?
So before we go on to the next slide, I want to make sure that I fully introduced everyone. I may have forgotten to do that, so I do apologize. We discussed the session objectives, and I want to make sure that I introduce Laura Pangrantz, who's managing our slides for us today. She is our PTA president. Myself, I'm Marla Posey-Moss, the PTA secretary. And Micah Hopper, the one who is presenting with us today, is one of our Smart Talk team members. And we have online with us some administrators from Aberdeen Middle School. It's Ms. O'Hara. She's the assistant principal. She's going to be speaking today as well. Mr. Newman, he is our assistant principal and our PTA liaison. So thank you for being here, Mr. Newman. And our SRO officer, Officer McLaughlin, who is one of our speakers as well. I also want to acknowledge Ms. Jones, the principal of Aberdeen Middle School, who's always been very supportive of the programming that we do here. And I want to make recognition of our leadership team from the PTA. We have our vice president, Sandra Monaco, and Renee DiBiase, our treasurer. And the remaining team members for the Smart Talk virtual program that we're hosting this evening is Leanna Dixon, who's on the line with us today, Valerie Gasick, and Jennifer Gerasi. So I just wanted to make sure I stated all those people before we go forward. And Micah, as you were mentioning, how does technology help your lives? Let's just take a couple of moments to address some of those inquiries. How does technology help your lives? I can't see hands right now because of the screen, but does anyone want to mention how technology helps our lives?
I'm able to have a conversation with you on the phone. A whole Zoom meeting about this topic.
I think it's always nice where we can stay home and get together, you know, for
Yeah.
this conversation. I know saying till 7 p.m. at work wasn't always fun, but it is nice to be able to participate and kind of see each other's faces without having to be at work the whole time. So now we're in the comforts of our home to be able to have these conversations, and even with our families too.
And it helps keep those of us who might not be in the area still connected, like you said, to be able to see people, to be able to use the technology like Zoom, where we can have this kind of interactive opportunity together.
Well, how does technology make things harder? Would anyone like to address that?
Trying to join a call from the phone because none of the links are working. It offers the challenges. You're constantly, I don't know about anyone else. I take 2 steps forward. There's always 1 step back. Either a password doesn't work, a link doesn't work, some means of that transcription just doesn't. It fails on you. You just have to trudge forward.
That's right. For me, how does technology make things harder? I feel like I tend to overbook myself. So if I know like there's a meeting, I feel like, okay, I can make the next meeting as long as I get off this call in 10 minutes. You know, I feel like I'm overbooking myself because I don't have to get in the car and drive and account for that drive time. So sometimes I feel like I'm a little bit more busier because of the convenience of being able to quickly get somewhere via technology. So I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but it does make it a little bit challenging because I have to watch my schedule more. All right. And then lastly, how can your family stay connected while keeping technology in your lives? How can we as families stay connected while keeping technology in our lives?
Like technology with texting and all that helps you know where your family members are, you know.
Absolutely. My son in college, while he's not here, we still text him to let him know what we're doing. So for instance, this weekend, I have to go to Dallas, Texas, actually all 3 of us, for my daughter's competition, but we tell him, even though he's not here, could probably care less while he's in Florida in college. But again, it helps us stay connected.
Also, don't forget FaceTime and Google, Google Chat or whatnot, that, you know, you can, rather than Zoom or any of these Microsoft Teams, things like that, you can personally stay connected with your family with these little additives that are on your phones. It's wonderful. Actually, my son called me last night to let me know he just got married.
Oh,
Yes, he's in the military, so I don't get to talk or see him very often.
That's sweet.
So it's really nice to have this type of technology nowadays. Whereas if you think back in 1990, we did not have this kind of stuff, and then prior to that, so very grateful for it.
oh,
I don't know. Thank you
Nice
for
share.
sharing that. That was nice. We can go to the next slide.
Okay.
And Micah, you can continue.
Family activity 2. Determine your online values. Family values. The principles that help your family decide what is right and wrong and how to act in various situations, and the rules to help guide your actions. Sample of values: honesty, respect, kindness, integrity, and faith. Number 1, what are your family values? How will they guide your online behavior? And that's number 2. What online behaviors are okay for your family and what are not okay?
Well, I would say answering this, what are your family values? One of the things we do value is privacy. And so In terms of online behavior, I know when my daughter, she's an 8th grader, when she has to get online, like I think at 7 o'clock, she has a Girl Scout thing to do online. And so I prefer that she does it down in the kitchen as opposed to in her bedroom, because behind her, you can see parts of her room, and not that it's terribly identifying, but it is private. And so I do prefer her to be in a more area that's kind of like everyone else's house. So we do, value privacy. Anyone else would like to address? What are your family values and how they guide your online behavior?
I kind of think that kindness one is one everybody expects to have, but online, I'm not sure everybody is giving that back to everyone. So I hopefully those guiding values of families, of the kindness, kind of seep through as they interact online. Because sometimes you don't see a face, it just is what it is.
I can agree with that. My youngest son plays online, plays games, which I'm sure a lot of our children do. And anytime there's somebody who he happens to join a game with that is disrespectful in some way or another, he ends the game or leaves the chat because he says, I'm not gonna deal with that. He's like, that's not okay for me.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, even with the Zoom calls or just dealing with different bodies of people. In terms of kindness, people tend to be a little bit more bolder in their behaviors in terms of words that they say, or things that they're willing to do online as opposed to in person. And so we just have to be mindful of our own behavior and how our tone could be misrepresented when we're not in person, like when we're sending a text message. So
Yeah, if you wouldn't say it to them to their face in the same room, you probably shouldn't be saying it to the world online.
Absolutely. Okay, you can go to the next slide. All right, Assistant Principal O'Hara, I believe.
Hey.
This is you.
Let me find my unmuting. Hold on right here. All right, good evening, everyone. So technology helps many people find freedom to express themselves, be creative, meet other people from all over the world, learn new things, mobilize around issues that matter to them. And this freedom, if not handled safely, which we know and responsibly, can open up people to unsafe situations, digital drama, feeling overwhelmed, or the need to kind of be on all the time. And we understand that as educators, which can impact our physical and mental health. So parents and caregivers can help children successfully navigate technology by deciding what's right for their families, by communicating effectively and having the smart talk. So if you can go ahead to the next slide. I'm going back and forth from notes, so let me just make sure you're on the right slide that I'm on. All right, so navigating online or the world, and that requires us to make consistent choices about our safety, what we share, what we see, how much time we spend online. And that requires talking as a family about outcomes and choices to make when using technology can help people feel better prepared to make choices that are right for themselves and their family when the time comes. So let's take a moment and talk about how to decide through these 4 different scenarios. Of course, there's no right or wrong answers, but there's one choice that might be better for you. So we can take a look at number 1 and say, first, would you rather let someone in your family put restrictions and monitoring apps on your device, or let them look through your phone or device whenever they want to? Anybody have a?
I would like to put child restrictions, but unfortunately, I'm that mom who doesn't know how to do it.
Right. You're in good company. Anybody else commenting on the first scenario?
We have go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I actually do both. So I actually put restrictions. I have 3 children and it's hard to keep up with all 3 of them. So I put restrictions on certain apps, but I also go through their phone. But I've noticed that when I go through their phone, I get a different reaction from my children because they know like, oh, mom's about to see what I'm doing, but they don't know that they need to delete it. You know what I mean?
Yes,
After
they're
they
not
do
there
something.
yet.
Yeah, they're not there yet. So I still play the mind games, like psychology games with them. I'm like, I know what you're doing on your phone, and I really don't.
Right.
But I just tell them that.
Yes, that's amazing.
But it's working. It's working now.
Hey, they don't know what that we don't know. It's fine. So many families resort to these two techniques for keeping each other safe, but both can feel like an invasion of privacy. Don't forget that any choice you make monitoring your child's device should be paired with open and honest conversation. The filter you build between your kids' ears will always be more effective than the one you buy at the store. All right, let's take a look at text happy birthday to a friend or say it to them on video chat. Thoughts on that one? I guess it depends on how close you are to them, right?
Yeah, and it sounds generational. And like for me, I'm more of just a text because I know that the person opening it probably doesn't want to hear the loud music or whatever it might have on
Mhm.
it. However, I think all the children I know would just send it to Snapchat.
I'll be honest, like today's my sister's birthday. I just text her happy birthday, but if I did know how to do a video chat, I would do a video chat.
All right, so we need a how-to technology class next time.
Right.
So let's see here. Let's take a look at there are many ways to communicate today. There are pros and cons, obviously, to each. Willing to have an open dialogue with your family about your preferred communication styles. Are phones or text more appropriate, or phone calls or text more appropriate? How do we feel about texting one another from different areas of the house? I bet you that happens quite a bit. I know I do that. And third, would you rather play video games or watch movies or a show on your device? Any thoughts on that?
Well, for me, I don't really use my
Right.
phone to play
I was gonna say
games.
neither.
Yeah.
I
If
do
you're
not care to watch anything on my phone.
I think sometimes we just like the silence, right? Just the quiet.
Yes.
Just to put
The
it down
kids-
and walk away.
Exactly.
Yes, the kids will watch movies on their phones, though.
Yes, they
Especially
do.
on the airplane.
Yes, yes. Everybody just gets those earbuds in and then they go. So video games and movies can be both fun forms of entertainment, but you know, one is considered more active and one is considered more passive, I guess. So when our brains are engaged in a gameplay, they're much more active than watching the content. The time we spend with the screens is not created equally. It's important to think about through different limits or depending on social media habits. And then finally, would you rather hear, this is what we're talking about, be exhausted, but first know something, or get some sleep and be the last one to know? So would you be exhausted, first one to know, or get some sleep and last to know? I have a feeling I know how this group is going to go.
Sleep.
I'm going to
Or I don't need to know. That's kind of where I'm
That's
coming
even
from at this
better.
point. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say, Miss O'Hara, sometimes it's better if I know in the morning.
Exactly.
I like my sleep. It doesn't happen often, but
Right.
I
Exactly.
agree.
yeah, but I'm better prepared when I've got a good night's sleep and I can take on the day.
That's true. Well, that's true too. That's important for our health too, which we were just talking about a second ago. So we know that technology has those benefits and can be excited to know something big, be the first one, but we do need to pay attention to how those apps and interactions, the amount of time they're on our devices, make us feel. So if you feel exhausted, overwhelmed, anxious, stressed, or upset by what you're seeing or doing online, it's okay to take that break and disengage from things permanently. It's okay. It's okay to do that. All right, next slide. All right, so talking about technology can be uncomfortable. And hearing from someone you love may make mistakes or be unsafe or do things that you don't know online can be pretty upsetting. And we don't want to let our discomfort or fear prevent these conversations from happening within our families. Everyone is using technology, so it's really important to talk about that. And so, to create a safe space where everybody in your family continues to feel comfortable talking about, there's a few things online here that we want to try to do. And if anybody wants to identify something that speaks to them, like in the communicating effectively, that speaks to them, feel free to go ahead and talk about that one if you'd like to. I think I'm looking at the top one here, Miss Jones, when it says go in with curiosity.
Yeah, that was the one I was just going to say. I always say be curious, not judgmental. And that's a huge piece for me for technology, because a lot of people throw judgment about what they see, and sometimes that's misinterpreted. But if you ask the right questions, you'll get clarity. And I think with technology right now, it's quick to hit that send button without asking questions or being curious. And so that's how I share with my staff. That's how I share with my family. Everybody's got different perspectives. So it's important to ask the right questions before posting or sharing or any of those things.
I almost feel like Miss Dixon said, be confident, even if you don't know what you're doing, and then go in with curiosity, because they think when you're confident that you know what you're talking about. It's just like that middle school. Oh yeah, I know you're calling me up here today because of what happened in class. I was like, what happened in class today? Even though I'm talking about 3 days ago. So it's, that curiosity part is definitely important. And I think that learning from each other is always important. Does anybody else want to say anything about any of those communicating effectively?
I think don't use honesty against each other. So if someone's being vulnerable with you, don't use it to say, aha, I caught you doing something, or, don't accuse them of being sneaky when they just actually told you the truth, and it kind of related to going in with curiosity. Don't be judgmental,
I think sometimes when feelings are connected, that's where we feel like that curiosity could be, judgmental. So totally get that. That's really important. And obviously, finally, parents, it's okay not to have all the answers. It's important that that your kids know you're learning all the time too. So just working through those things. And so if we go to the next slide, we're going to go through, I don't know how many people have that document, but is it cyberbullying or digital drama? So I think this is an interesting sheet, and I really think this is something good that we all could reference. Are we able to share that? Any chance?
I could probably put it in the chat. I'll put it in the chat.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. So I really like this page because it really talks about the term cyberbullying getting used a lot with kids in the internet, but sometimes every negative online interaction, is it really cyberbullying or just kind of digital drama? And so they're kind of talking about the differences between the cyberbullying and the digital drama. And I do think most of the time we are seeing the digital drama. So disagreements that happen every day between peers, and feelings get hurt, arguments between friends, or people, romantic partners. And then here's a big one for our middle schoolers. Gossip spreads so easily through all that, the digital phase, whether it's through a video or, through just text messages being sent. So that's kind of where we feel it a lot. Versus cyberbullying, where it's really scary and it's intended to harass and upset you, and otherwise like harm the victim. So it's repeated, it's ongoing, it's causing anxiety, it's causing depression, it can cause other mental health issues. And that can take different forms. It can be belittling or embarrassing, and it can really shake someone up. So families have two things to do. And I think what is important to kind of recognize between both of these situations is when we as parents or adults went to school, we put when we left school, the bullying stopped, the name calling stopped, unless it was in your neighborhood. Now for kids nowadays, it's 24/7 if they don't put those phones down, and that can really hurt them emotionally and their mental health. So I think that's something that we need to kind of think about. So 2 things families can do. I think the most important thing to do when it comes to the digital drama beforehand, kind of help your kids recognize different examples of it. And then when it happens, whether your kid's involved in it or watching from afar, kind of support them and kind of help them through it. And a lot of our parents, all of you guys are really good at that. And then when it comes to the bullying, you know, have those conversations about cyberbullying, even if they're not the victim, the perpetrator. It's really important for them to know the behaviors aren't acceptable and how they have to talk to a trusted adult. And we hope that the kids can find that trusted adult at the school or in their neighborhood so they can help protect them and get them on the right path to support them. First question we always ask when we're dealing with something, do your parents know? And I would tell you 9 times out of 10, the parent does not know. And the other 1%, I'd say 0.5% is they kind of know the situation, but when they bring it to us, we feel that as that trusted adult, we want to get the kids help in all respects. If anybody, that's a really good resource. Does anybody have any questions about that?
So is cyberbullying treated the same? I guess it's just regular bullying, like the physical bullying in the school?
Absolutely, yes. And so I don't know how many people are aware of kind of, if it's bullying, is for us, it's kind of bullying, and you know, the line of kind of blurs with school because it's not physically there, but if it's disrupting school or it's bothering a kid, that's when we want to get involved. And that's where we, you know, can either talk to the parents, and if that doesn't help, you know, there's school resource officers like Officer, you know, Mary McLaughlin, you know, on the next slide, who can be really good resource for us to help us through that.
I have some statistics on cyberbullying, if you don't mind my reading. It says, and I got this from National PTA from a presentation that they did yesterday. It says 37% of young people ages 12 through 17 have been bullied online, and 60% of young people have witnessed online bullying. So it's a lot of people involved in that, or witnessing as a bystander.
I would say that witness, I would be surprised if that wasn't more, especially nowadays after COVID, for sure.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, I think.
Am I up?
Yes, I think you are.
Said your name.
So I apologize. My son had surgery this morning, so I'm dealing with that. So my biggest thing about dangers of social media is that, first of all, I was going back to something Ms. Dixon had said, your kids can hide apps behind other apps. So if they tell you they're not on social media and they have a calculator app, more than likely it's hidden behind that app. I know they've gotten even more genius with it. I haven't had time to dig into that. Also with Snapchat, I hate that app with a passion. If your child has Snapchat, one of the things I can suggest is to look through their friends list and look for anybody with their name, and then it has, I'm looking it up on the DEA website as we're talking, with a crown, a money bag, a stack of money, or a plug. That is our local drug dealers who are now distributing candy to our kids. So we're not talking about like little baggies of weed. We're talking about strings of nerds, or the rope candies, Sweet Tarts, which is a new one. It looks just like this candy you buy at the store. You have to read the fine print at the bottom of it, and that's how you determine whether or not it's drugs versus candy. And then the other thing with Snapchat is if you don't turn off the location on Snapchat, I've learned that they can actually, when they post their picture, it actually can tell you where they live down to the house. It does the number thing, I'm sorry. So it won't give the address, but it does the coordinates on Snapchat. I don't know much about Instagram. That's kind of gone out the window with children. TikTok, I'm on that, and I'm still trying to figure that app out myself. But that's all I have right now for that. If anybody has any questions.
Can
And
you
the
tell me-
DEA, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You can finish that now. I asked my question.
The DEA, if you go to their website, it has the emoji drug code. So like, even if you're going through your child's phone and you see them texting emojis, it has what each of those emojis are and what they represent. It's kind of scary because the ones that adults use mean a different language with kids. So just pay attention to that. And then that's all I have for right now.
Can you tell me again, you said it right in the beginning, you said if they're Snapchatting and they put up certain icons, I think you said crown, a bag of something and candy, what were they again?
So it's a face with the money tongue, a crown, a money bag, a stack of money, and then the outlet plug, like the cord plug that you plug into a wall. That is like the local drug dealers and how they're advertising to our youth.
Interesting.
That's sick.
What does that cord mean? Like, you know,
It
Like-
just, I don't know the exact meaning, but that's like, usually if they have their screen name or whatever they call it today, their screen name next to that, that typically means that they're a drug dealer. And there's a way to go on Snapchat. So like if a 13-year-old's on Snapchat and they want drugs of some sort, they literally can search local people who have that symbol next to it, and then they can randomly message them to meet up to exchange. It's really, Snapchat's very dangerous.
Mhm.
I can actually send the code to the email, and then
Yeah, if
that
you
can
don't-
be distributed out.
Yeah, if you don't mind, that'd be great. I
Okay.
wasn't aware of that. I didn't know.
Oh, it's bad. And Snapchat's the biggest one because Snapchat, they don't work very well with police and everything disappears. So it's really hard to track down as it is. But hopefully one day it will get shut down.
Yeah, I saw on the news today with regards to TikTok, I believe all federal employees within 30 days have to have TikTok off their devices.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm
I'm not
still
sure why.
figuring out. TikTok, like if you post, it doesn't post your address or your coordinates or anything like that. I know the government is against TikTok for political reasons, but TikTok isn't killing our kids. Snapchat definitely is. And that's where they get their drugs is from Snapchat.
Interesting. Thank you. Is there another, I think there might be another slide. Thank you.
Is that for me as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, so this one is find the right technology balance. Number one, what do I do the most online? Is it a good use of my time? I'll answer this one. Nothing I do online is good because it takes time from my schoolwork and reading and stuff like that, or because you get so caught up into everybody else's life on social media, and that's all I use it for. So I don't like it, but
It's addicting, but I will say it's not always the best use of my time. But I will be honest, you know, I do get caught up on not necessarily the gossip, but I do get caught up on, you know, other people's families, and because I don't make time to call, you know what I mean? So you can see, I just saw who's getting engaged, or, you know, just a bunch of things, but it is very much addicting.
number two, am I being creative or just mindlessly scrolling? Definitely not creative on technology.
Sometimes when I'm on Pinterest, it does spark some ideas, like when I'm focused on something specific, but not normally just randomly looking.
I mean, TikTok is where I get half my recipes from, so. And then number three, are there things I am not getting done because I am online? And how do I feel about what I am not getting done?
Well, I'm not folding laundry, so I mean, but I don't care about that.
Hello.
Hi, Shola.
Hi. I wanted to make I actually wanted to make a few comments. But because of this wonderful topic that we're talking about, technology, I had a very hard time transferring from one device to another. So I actually wanted to comment from things from the beginning, but I just wasn't in a good space to do it. And I tried to get my daughter to come on because she's very opinionated as well. And I was like, children get to be on here. Children, like, go on there and say something because I can't right now. She's like, no, there are no kids on there. I'm like, oh my God, but there can be. Anyways, I'm sorry. So I wanted to start jumping in to answer some of the questions, you know, so I could be interactive because I'm enjoying the presentation and now I can sit down and focus. So I'm sorry if I'm holding it up, Officer Mary, to
No, you're fine.
to jump in on things. So the what do you do most online? For myself, and actually might incorporate all three of these. I had to make a conscious effort to put a time limit to like anything I do because it's so easy to now that, you know, we have devices, so it goes everywhere with you. So, you know, if the kids are at a practice or you know, or what may have you, which is probably 90% of my life, you know, it's easy to kind of just jump on to kind of go check in on something online or to scroll, or I'll play games and stuff like that. And the next thing you know, 2 hours is like gone. So the good stuff that I try to do is, you know, if I'm doing something, you know, for the school or we're checking up on family and stuff like that, I think that's the positive side of technology. At least being online, I have family that I don't talk to or see often that's either in another country or another state. So being online is, you know, being able to check up with them or see what's going on in their families and stuff like that. I try to do that, but sometimes I'll just go into a black hole and then you click on one thing and then you click on something else and you click on something else. And the next thing you know, I'm like 50 pages deep and I don't even remember where I started. So, but you know, and if that's for me as an adult, I can only imagine what my children are doing online and how far deep and stuff they go. But we do talk about good internet habits because I think it's so necessary for our children, whether they listen or not. I don't know. I do have some apps. I heard somebody say earlier, like I had apps on my children's phone so I can monitor what they do, how long they've been online. I can shut them down, like, you know, cut their access off. I find those very helpful, especially when you have multiple children. But yeah, so I just wanted to put that out there. Thanks.
You tell your Jillian she's welcome anytime. Kids or no kids.
I'll let.
Thanks, Shola. All right, I think that's for me. All right, so having the Smart Talk helps families set technology expectations and limits. Developing in partnership with Norton. The Smart Talk is an online tool that helps parents and caregivers have positive conversations with their kids. Using a series of guided questions, this online tool allows kids 5 through 18 to actively participate in setting limits around the device use, digital safety, privacy, communication, health, and wellness, and media choices. The end result is a personalized family technology agreement that is created based on individual responses. We ask that you visit thesmarttalk.org after programming today. All righty. So we have another activity on family and finding your balance. It is important that families have time to set up their Smart Talk profiles. So you can take time to do that when we're finished with the program today. So how do you find the right technology balance for your family, given how we're all using it to live, learn, and be creative and socialize? This is the $1 million question. There's no definitive number or recommended hours, although the American Academy of Pediatrics has guidelines for different ages. When deciding what's right for your family, it's important to think about the quality of everyone is doing online versus just focusing on how long everyone is on their devices. When deciding if it's time to put your devices down or phones down, it's helpful to consider things like, what activities do you do online the most? Is it the time you're spending on your device a good use of your time? Are some activities better to use than others? when you are online, do you mostly consume content or create it? When you spend time online, what other things are not getting done? And what do you feel about what you are not getting done? So we would ordinarily take 4 minutes to consider and talk about some of these questions. Some of them we just did discussed previously. I would like to say one of the things I have noticed that is really positive in terms of finding your balance, a lot of times scholarships for kids these days are not necessarily in a form of writing, but they're either doing a video. So if like my child is performing for a scholarship as opposed to writing an essay, that's some of the things I do take into consideration that's positive, because they might have to do it repeatedly to do it over, or they might have to enter an art contest and it has to go online, like through the reflections program that the PTA has. So, I mean, these are things that we have to consider about how the devices are being used as opposed to how long you're using it. Does anyone want to contribute to that?
I think maybe another positive way, and this kind of piggybacks off of what you were saying regarding the scholarships. I do like the fact that, at least with school now, teachers now will give kids, you can turn your assignment in by 11:59, so if you don't get it done in school, you can still upload it, and as long as you get it in by the end of the night, it's still counted. So that is definitely a positive way that the children are able to use them and utilize that time. They come home and maybe instead of being on their device and doing other things, they're literally working to try to beat that deadline, because now they have that extra time to submit their work online now by a deadline. So I think that's really good.
Yeah, I agree. So to some degree, that creates a little bit of equity, because sometimes if parents or kids are going back and forth between people's households and they may have left something at someone's house and you got to take a picture and send it, it allows them more time to get their work done.
Right.
That's a really good point about that equity part. And also, to me, as a former special educator, I really see like different accommodations, like reading to you or magnifying, and all those things are things that we all use on a regular basis that just looks like normal life. It doesn't look like I need special accommodations anymore, or, I have special needs because I can't see, or I can't hear, or whatever. So those kind of that digital divide is kind of hopefully kind of that wall is coming down.
Yeah. So I'd like to add some of the statistics. Again, some of the information I did pull from digital safety and digital wellness from the National PTA presentation I saw yesterday with regards to screen time and social media usage. For screen time, it stated that children ages 8 through 12 spend 5.5 hours per day using screens for entertainment. I believe that, because oftentimes if they go to school on the bus or come home on the bus, depending on how long that ride is, they're on their phone and that time adds up. And on average, boys have slightly higher screen time than girls. In terms of social media usage, 93% of youth age 14 to 22 use social media. And again, they're considering youth up to age 22. So that's important as we think about their brain development. And in 2019, 41% of teens said they enjoyed social media a lot, while in 2021, just 3 years later, that figure declined to 34%. So that's really interesting. So from 2019, it went from 41% down to 34% now in terms of enjoying social media. And that could relate to what we discussed earlier with regards to the cyberbullying and just this whole being virtual a lot, people being more emboldened to not be nice or kind to each other, and people might want to get off their social media because of those interactions. I don't know why those statistics are the way they are, but I'm just saying this whole era of not being nice and being mean can contribute to why they don't enjoy it as much. So, next slide, please. All right, so again, when you go to the smarttalk.org, you can set up your family profile if you'd like to do that. And Laura, next slide.
Does anybody have any questions?
Here's your 15 minutes of fame, Laura.
Oh, well, there's a lot to go over. I mean, this has been a lot of different information and a lot of different perspectives, which I think is very helpful because all of our families are different and we use the technology differently, you know. Um, you know, my son was not able to physically go out and do things. So technology did connect him with some people, but then he chose he didn't want to be on Facebook and all that stuff. So he only communicated with friends and family through email or text, you know? So it still gave those kids who maybe aren't into sports and all that another way to connect to um, their family and their friends, right? He was a big video gamer kind of thing. But I have found too that for me personally, the ability to have Facebook or just these Zoom calls with my family even has been great because, you know, if you're not feeling well, it doesn't mean you had to totally skip the family get together, right? Maybe you decided not to get together in person because somebody wasn't feeling well or you didn't want to risk getting them sick. You could still set up like a Zoom call or some kind of video chat like that and still stay connected. You don't have to, whereas back in the old days, you either had to call and talk on the phone with one person at a time, or you didn't see them for a while, right? So there's a lot of good positives out of technology, but I can see even in the ages of my kids, the difference in how it's being used. And so there's some of the negatives are popping up more recently too, you know, the negativity online, the all these new apps and everything. And I'll joke and I'll say, you know, I don't use my phone a lot with a whole lot of apps and everything because it's a dinky little track phone, you know. I don't have one that runs high speed or has big memory and all that stuff. So if I'm going to watch or play a game, I'm going to do it on my laptop or, you know, like a tablet, you know. Whereas our kids seem to have the phones where they can do everything right on the phone, you know, which makes it really hard for them to put it down because it fits so perfectly in your hand, right? So being aware of, as Officer McLaughlin said, you know, like the different symbols and stuff, oh my goodness, you know, I wouldn't know half of that stuff. And you know, our children might not tell us what that all means either because if they're trying to hide. So I appreciate everybody giving their perspectives and their input during this presentation. Is there anyone have any specific questions about the presentation? Because I'm assuming, let me see, is this the last slide?
No, if you go to the next slide, I'll close it up.
Okay.
Thank you, Laura, for your
There you go. Thank you.
not a whole lot here. I did put in the chat towards the end while Laura was speaking, so I didn't want to forget that because we didn't play a video because there is so much information. We were so engaging and interactive during this time, but that video is about helping you how to stop tracking on your child's device on their location. So if you wanted to copy and paste that, you can watch that. It's about 8 minutes long. Just wanted to follow up on the appreciation for everyone here who spoke and the PTA presidents for being very supportive in helping get out this information and market it on the Member Hub and on the Facebook pages of the school. I really appreciate that. And also thank you, Principal Jones, for your actions in supporting this event, and Officer McLaughlin on taking your time to be here today, and the support team who was helpful with some of the ideas on the time and date and the scheduling of this event. I do want to share with you on Tuesday, March 21st, about 3 weeks from now, we have a second part to the Smart Talk program that is in person, beginning at, well, 6:30. You can probably come a little bit earlier because we will have some food. So we're definitely hoping that many families will come out, and we have some special guests coming out to that one. People who have already been reserved and have a program already ready to speak and have it equally engaging. The registration for that Zoom is going to be coming out relatively soon. I'm also going to have, Laura, if you don't have it, I can definitely put it in the chat as well, a survey link for you to complete about your thoughts on the program for this evening. And that concludes our Smart Talk session.
Let's see, I do not, if you want me to share the video, I can do that.
She already posted the video.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
she
see.
already posted
In the
that video.
chat.
Yep.
Okay, hold on one second. I gotta figure out how to get out of this. All right.
I do hope you're inspired to talk about this with your kids personally, even at school. And then as we're promoting for the next event, we'll be sure to get out the information in a greater time frame and in a different way, in addition to member hubs, so that we can have more engaging participation, and so that we can make sure we use all our money for this grant. I mean, that's what we want to do. That's a great thing about having a PTA, is that they support family engagement and programs. So it's wonderful.
Well, and as we want to note, this session has been recorded and can be shared for those who were not able to attend tonight and or may not be able to attend on the 21st. Because the 21st will not be recorded because we're not technology savvy enough to figure out how to do a hybrid for that one. Because unless the school tells us that we can figure out a way to do it. But you know, we want people to be there in person. We will need to do like an RSVP type thing to just get a somewhat of a head count so that we can be prepared for all of that. So did you put
I'm
the
not
link
able
up?
to click. I'm not able to click on that link. It looks kind of like a picture.
Okay, which one? Is that the link for
The
Marla? What
Survey
did you put up?
Monkey.
The survey one? All right.
Mhm.
Let me see if I can find.
You can always put it in the chat and people can come back to it too. Or send it to
Yeah.
maybe send it to the people once we figure it out. Is that
Yeah,
registered?
because I can't find my link.
Well, I know I appreciate all the parents who were able to get on in our PTA, so thank you guys so much.
You're quite welcome. Did you want me to play the 8-minute video, or do you just want to just save that for them to do on their own? Okay.
You're muted, by the way, Miss Posey Moss.
Thank
There
you.
you go.
They can do that on their own, and I will send up a follow email on the evaluation, so that'll work.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, because I have everybody's emails here so that we can do that. So, all
Thank
right.
you all so much.
You are
Thank
quite
you.
welcome. Thank you for participating and spending some time with us this evening. We kept it to an hour, so that's always good. Please enjoy the rest of your evening and take a break from the technology, right?
Good night, all.
Bye, guys.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Laura, I'll send to you the evaluation, and you want to send it out to everyone, or you want